Tuesday night in March, the front door flew open and my wife floated in like a game show winner. I was on the couch debating whether to watch men sprint after a ball or strangers pretend to fall in love on a timer. Real high art. "Honey," she squealed, windows rattled, and I braced for the kind of news that usually ends with a credit card asking for hospice. Clara invited me on a girls' trip. A week. Beach resort. Everything's covered. Of course it was Clara. Clara Martinez. Whatever. Marissa's best friend since college and the sort of person who probably drinks espresso from actual gold. Her husband, Victor, made money in the vague way rich men do. Finance, tech, consulting, some combination that results in watches more. "Expensive than my car. When?" I asked. "Next week. Someone canceled. She doesn't want the reservation to go to waste." She said it the way normal people talk about leftovers. The days before she left were a blur of packages and receipts. New dresses, new swimsuits, new things I couldn't categorize. Our bedroom looked like a boutique dyed in it. The morning of the flight, she was up at 5, glowing. I made coffee she didn't drink, toast she didn't touch. "You're going to have an amazing time," I said, meaning it. We both worked too much. If her rich friend wanted to foot the bill for Marissa to be pampered, who was I to argue? The Uber came, Clara's premium car, naturally, and my wife kissed me like we were in a rom-com, promised nightly calls, and disappeared down the street. I had no idea I was waving goodbye to the version of my life where things still made sense. For about 12 hours, bachelorhood felt like freedom. I ate pizza from the box in my underwear and watched 3 episodes of a show where bearded men welded motorcycles. Around 9, I missed her laugh. FaceTime rang. There she was, sun-kissed, haloed by golden hour, an infinity pool shimmering. Behind her? "You should see this place," she said, panning the camera like a realtor. "White marble everywhere, palm trees, staff that probably made more in tips than I did in overtime." "Looks brutal," I said, lifting my discounted beer. "Thoughts and prayers." She laughed, voices buzzing behind her, other women with perfect hair and perfect teeth. They were headed to a beach bar for life-changing cocktails. I pictured umbrellas that cost more than my tie. She called the next night, and the next. She looked even brighter each time. Tanned, beach-wavy hair, courtesy of nature for once. But her answers were oddly generic. Girl stuff, spa, pool, lunch somewhere cute. Normally, she gave me play-by-play. What everyone wore, what everyone ate, who said what. Now it was like she'd been replaced by a PR statement. On the third call, a figure slid past behind her. Broad shoulders, definitely not a girl. My stomach dipped. Was that Victor? I tried to sound casual, a beat. "Oh, yeah, he stopped by to check on things. You know how Clara is. Wants everything perfect." "Is he staying there?" "God, no. This is girls' time." She smiled. I let it go. I told myself it was staff, or the camera angle, or my imagination. She came. Home a week later to a stupid sign I'd made and a house I'd cleaned until it gleamed. I'd even attempted lasagna, which smelled like a hate crime, but looked edible in low light. She stepped off the escalator in a white dress like a beach ad. I held up the sign. She kissed my cheek, not my mouth. The drive back was quiet, her phone lighting up every 30 seconds. "How was it?" I asked. "As amazing as it looked?" "Mm-hmm," she said. "Very nice. Very nice." From a woman who once produced a TED Talk because a chain restaurant delivered the wrong dressing. At home, she wandered rooms like a realtor staging a breakup. I showed her flowers. She said she needed a shower, locked the bathroom door. A new trick, and emerged in pajamas, distant. That distance didn't shrink. It calcified. A month of polite small talk and a phone she cradled like a newborn. Every buzz sent her to another room. I tried date nights. I tried flowers that didn't come from a grocery store bucket. I tried pretending on a Tuesday morning she sat at the dining table we'd refinished our first year like we were still romantic enough to find sanding fun. Her hands gripped a mug she wasn't drinking. Her eyes were rimmed red. "Need to talk," she said. 4 words that never introduce a happy sentence. "I'm pregnant." For 3 seconds, the world tilted in the good way. We'd been trying for months. Ovulation charts. Bulk tests from Costco because that's romance. "In your 30s, then she didn't smile, didn't move, just stared at the table. "It's not yours," she whispered. I actually felt something clamp down in my chest. "Whose?" "Victor's. Her best friend's husband. The man I'd chatted sports with at fundraisers. The guy with the suits and the perfect watch." She told me Clara had flown home mid-trip for a family emergency. Victor showed up to help with arrangements. There was a last night, too many tropical drinks, a walk back to her room, a door closing, the kind of story you can finish without details. It was a terrible mistake, she said. One night, I hate myself. I looked at my wife and felt nothing I could use. Not rage big enough to break things, not mercy big enough to save us. Just a quiet, heavy ending. "Does Clara know?" She shook her head. "No, it would destroy her." "And this?" I asked, because someone had to point at the obvious crater in our kitchen. "What do you think this is?" I waited until 8 a.m. to call Clara because even during an apocalypse I maintain basic manners. When she answered, bright, I wished I were cruel enough to hang up. I told her. There was silence so complete I checked my screen to make sure. The call hadn't dropped. Then a sound I've only heard at funerals. "Are you sure?" she asked. "Yes." I didn't make it gentle. Something crashed on her end. She screamed Victor's name. The line went dead. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up with messages from an unknown number. I didn't read them. Upstairs, I heard my wife's footsteps, fast, frantic. She came down red-eyed and furious. "How could you tell her?" she demanded. "That wasn't your secret." "It wasn't yours to keep," I said, suddenly very calm. "If you weren't going to tell. Your best friend, you're carrying her husband's baby, someone had to. You're cruel." Accurate. But not as cruel as letting her throw you a baby shower while you pretend. She cried. I didn't move. I had spent a month living with a ghost. Now I was talking to one. The next days were an ugly carousel. Tears. Apologies, speeches about counseling, like she'd Googled how to save a marriage you lit on fire and started at the top. She suggested we raise the baby as ours. "Plenty of families," she began. "Plenty of families plan," I said. This wasn't a plan. "What if we went to therapy?" she asked. "What if you hadn't cheated?" I said. Not helpful, but true. I called a divorce lawyer. Sharp suit, sharper questions. He asked what I wanted. "Out," I said. "And not to be on the hook for a kid that's not mine." He nodded like he'd heard my exact sentence a dozen times this month. Papers were drafted. A deposit was put down on a 1-bedroom with Harvest Gold appliances and a shower that misted like a produce aisle. I packed boxes. I decided not to take anything that remembered us. When I told her I'd filed, she stared like I'd announced the moon was moving. "You don't mean that." "I wish I didn't." She tried bargaining. She offered penance, therapy, moving to a new city, church. She wrote notes and stuck them to mirrors. "I'm sorry. Please don't give up." It was like being haunted by a very organized ghost. I moved out on a Saturday morning. She watched from the kitchen window. The house looked smaller. I drove away without turning back because sometimes the only way out is forward. 6 months is a long time and no time at all. At first I lived on cereal and shame. Then I learned how to grocery shop for one without buying 12 avocados that die the same day. I took a cooking class. I started going to the gym because rage makes a decent pre-workout. I relearned the pleasure of silence. No eggshell walking. No speeches about how love conquers math and DNA. Clara and I met for coffee twice. Two people with matching crater scars comparing notes. She was made of ice and iron. I keep replaying all the missed signs, she said. I do the opposite, I told her. I replay all the moments I was happy, and then I remember how fast happy can lie to you. She moved to Seattle. Good for her. Victor and Clara's divorce finalized a month before ours and made mine look like a library checkout. My mother still talks to Marissa's mother. Intel moves faster through that network than the internet. So I knew the baby arrived 3 weeks ago. Dark hair, dark eyes, no questions. Marissa tried to put my name on the birth certificate anyway. DNA ended that conversation. Victor gets child support paperwork and a mirror he can't avoid. Marissa gets a bassinet and the kind of single mother exhaustion that erases the parts of your face you liked. I get my mornings, my shitty apartment that smells faintly of someone else's stir-fry, and a remote I don't have to negotiate over. People kept waiting for me to hatch a revenge plan like I was auditioning for a reality show, The Petty X. Coworkers leaned in at lunch. My sister asked if I'd keyed a car. I disappointed everyone. Revenge is work. Rage is cardio. Forgiveness, I learned, is quiet. What I wanted back wasn't her. It was myself. I see Marissa sometimes. Grocery store, parking lot, always at a distance. She looks like she's living on fumes and formula. Most of her old friends have drifted. Betrayal is contagious. Nobody wants to catch it. Last week she texted, "I miss you." I watched the 3 words glow and then disappear into the trash. Missing me and deserving me are not the same thing. People talk about closure like it's a door you get to slam. It's not. It's more like the